Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just like little tidbits of things that have happened to me and things that I learn from on a regular basis and all of that stuff. And on this channel, I kind of usually think the day before of like what I want to talk about the next day, or I find a blog that I used to write, and I actually haven't read a blog on here in a while. And today I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about on here. I had really no idea. And I was just going to go through some of my old blogs and I was going to pick something to read. But something happened today and so I wanted to talk about it. So we had an ice storm last night. We had like a ice and snowstorm. It started at about 5 a.m. And I woke up this morning because my husband left for work and I took the dogs outside and we had already had a little bit of snow. The ice had turned to snow and it was really bad outside. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be stuck inside all day long. I had some things I needed to do and people canceled. And so they were like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in my house, whatever, with some friends. And I was like, that's cool. So I didn't go out to do so with my friends. Well, I was sitting around and I was like, A, I want a coffee. B, I want to do a magazine video on my other channel, so I want to go get a magazine. So I won't go that far, but I'll only go out the street, right? Or down, up the street. Now, if you don't know, people tell, like, there's a statistic that says that a lot of accidents happen within 5 miles of your home. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. And maybe that's not true, but like I've heard that somewhere years ago and it's kind of stuck in my brain. So I am very careful when I'm driving in situations like this, right? Because it's not so much about me driving in it as it is other people that kind of scare me, because you never know what somebody else is doing and, you know, what they're putting out there, or like if they're watching or if they're paying attention or whatever. And there's always that one guy or, you know, whatever, when you're out in the snowstorm that's just like piling through and making poor choices. That's the person that scares me on the road, right? So I kind of try to always like take roads that like other people wouldn't take in snowstorms and stuff like that. So today I was like going past through the mall because for some reason when schools are closed and businesses are not open and things like that, everybody sees that as a shopping day and then they all go to the mall, right? Which cracks me up. Boo Radley, we're not gonna be doing that today. He's like scratching behind me, finding the perfect place to sit. So anyway, so I was coming back and I was like in the middle lane of these three lanes going past the mall. And this 2 cars in front of me, this guy decides to like turn over into the oncoming traffic because there was there was nobody coming and he wanted to like turn and come back around, right? But he did it so quick that the car in front of me didn't have time to brake. We're all going about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We're not going fast. We're going very, very slow. The visibility was low. You really couldn't see. But the car in front of him was about 5 feet in front of him, and the car in front of me was about 5 or 10 feet in front of me, and I really couldn't see. It felt like 2 feet, but I think it was more like 5 or 10 feet, right? And so anyway, I saw this whole accident happen. The guy turns, the car in front of me goes back, tail ends him and hits him. He tried to get out of the way and he couldn't. So once he hit him, this car goes into the oncoming traffic and just sits there. And then the cars can't stop because now they're coming after the stoplight. So then they hit him and the car in front of me is veering this way across the intersection. And I don't know how I'm gonna stop because I start hitting my brakes and I start spinning, right? And I look in my rear view mirror to my right and I see this car coming and I'm like, holy shit, like if I go in that lane, this car's gonna hit me or I'm gonna hit this car and this car's in front of me and there's no way for me to go. So I'm just like kind of veering this way and I'm like, just like, please, please, please. And this car goes around me, the car comes in front of me and stops and I make it right through. And I was like, oh my God, that was a total God moment. Like how did I just get through that? Like that should not have happened. I should have been in that accident. And it was really sad. I mean, the guy that was in front of me, I mean, he was so pissed. He was like, he was like, rah, 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 at the car that he hit. And, you know, people were like yelling and screaming and all this kind of stuff. And I pulled over. I was like, is everybody okay? They're like, yeah, you weren't in it. I was like, okay. So anyway, look, moved on, went on. And I'm like driving and I'm like shaking, right? And I'm thinking about this. I was like, nobody was hurt. That was number one. Number two, the cars were damaged, which on a Friday afternoon, that totally sucks, right? Because you know you're not going to get anybody to fix that shit on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday. So you're dealing with that for the whole weekend. And, you know, but I was sitting there, I was thinking, like, this could have been something really, really horrible. I wasn't in it, thank God. But it really made me think about these gratitude lists that I've been doing recently and the importance of what's really important. Because, you know, even something like that, that is just, you know, it's not life-threatening because nobody got hurt or died in it, but they could have, They could have, you know, it could have been much more serious if people were going faster or didn't have their seatbelts on or something like that. You know, the reality is that it's a burden of life. These things that happen to us, I mean, it would have destroyed somebody's, probably their weekend is over because they're trying to figure out tow trucks and all that kind of stuff, right? And this is where I get on here and I talk all the time about being positive, being happy, not letting this stuff get down to you. And I thought as I was driving home, because I was like ready to get home at that point, I was like, you know, this is a moment, Peter, where if somebody was like to call you up right after the accident, they would say, okay, now walk me through how to be positive in this situation. And, you know, I think the one thing that I talk about on here a lot is positivity and staying calm and peaceful, right? But we are human beings, and we are going to have responses to things that happen as a human experience, right? We're not all of us going to stay spiritual and peaceful all the time, and that's just bullshit. We're just not. I don't know anybody like that, okay? You know, in my life, I have maybe met, seriously, and I'm being fair, less than 5 people that in a situation like that would gracefully handle it, pull over and be like, hey, like that was just a mess. And what I mean, I've met very few people like that. Very few. And I think they were born with that innate kind of organic response to the world of staying calm, because they've been people that I've known, like typically they're friends of my parents that I have known my entire life. And no matter if it is a death, an illness, a car accident, a tragedy, they are always calm through all of it, right? It doesn't mean that they don't show their emotions. It doesn't mean that they don't have an emotional response to it, but they stay calm through the whole thing. And I was driving home and I was like, how would I have chosen to handle my weekend if that had happened? Because as much as I like to get on here and be like, oh, hey, positivity and all that kind of stuff, I probably would have let that own me for the weekend. I would have been pissed. I would have been like, now I got to deal with this. I got to call my insurance company, all this kind of stuff. My rates are going to go up, on and on and on. And I thought, you know, like, those are the moments that we really need to be practicing gratitude the most, you know? And so as I was driving home, I was doing a gratitude list in my mind, which was interesting because, like I've said, I've been doing it since January 1st. Every night when I go to bed, I keep a gratitude list, and it's up to like 10 or 15 things now, specific things that happened that day. And so as I was driving home, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I was going through and I was listing things in my head that I was grateful for that had happened today. Because I so stress on a regular basis that each day that we live could be our last, and I don't want to take that for granted. So I wanted to take a look at my life from the time that I had gotten up to 5 p.m., including the car accident, and say, thank you for not allowing me to be in that car accident, but to come close enough that it will have a learning experience for me. You know, and I really feel for the people that were in that car accident. I mean, like and it's gonna happen all over the, you know, Midwest and everywhere in the world where people are driving and there's winter storms. And it's gonna be a tragedy for some people. There's gonna be death associated with that, and other people will walk away without a scratch or even a dent in their car. And, but I think for all of us, those little minor close encounters with things, you know, really need to remind us, you know, of the brevity of life, the fragility of life, you know, that how important our life is to us, and to not take any of that for granted. You know, all of this, you know, exterior BS, this superficial BS, really doesn't matter when it comes right down to those kinds of things, right? And that's something that I need to remind myself of on a daily basis. And, you know, it's interesting as I do this channel and I'm telling these stories on here, that I'm constantly reminded of the things that I learned, you know, and I by no means try to come on here and act like I know it all or I've got it all figured out. Because just when I think I know something, bam, I'm taught again. Bam, I'm taught again. Bam, I'm taught again. And that's the whole idea with remaining teachable. If you open your heart and you open your mind and you open your spirit and your soul to remaining teachable, the lessons will come. And what happens as a result of that is that you are enriched on a regular basis with lessons all over the place. But lessons and blessings come in disguise. They don't always come, you know? And it's interesting because I used to use this as an example years ago, like the movie The Craft, which it's about witchcraft, and that's not me, but anyway, if that's your gig, hey, have at it. But it's, you know, about these 4 girls, and they're asking this one girl about how her, like, her talents or her, what's the word I'm looking for, her abilities work. And she said sometimes they're a little off. Like, I'll pray for, I'll want a rainstorm and a pipe will burst in the basement. But see, that's how I think the world works sometimes, you know, is that we'll want something But it doesn't necessarily come to us the way that we've asked for it to come to us. And sometimes we don't see the lesson that is happening to us at the moment. Sometimes we just stay stuck in that, you know? And I really needed to get on camera today, and I needed to really like own my shit about saying like, I was scared, I was angry in that moment, and I was gonna allow it to distract my day, but I didn't. And I drove away, and I got home safe, and I took my dogs outside, and I set up my cameras and stuff, and I said, hey, today, I choose to have an awesome day because I don't have any other plans. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.